Kind of scripted. Hey, it's kind of scripted. Good morning to y'all. Hope you're having an amazing morning. You know, these early morning sessions, I love it. You get it how we live, right? Do rag and all. The journal today started with a message from Luke 9, verse 1 through 6. It said, one day, Jesus called together his 12 disciples and gave them power and authority to cast out all demons and to heal all diseases. Then he sent them to tell everyone about the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. Jesus said, take nothing for your journey. He instructed them, don't take a walking stick, a traveler's bag, food, money, or even a change of clothes. Jesus said, wherever you go, stay in the same house until you leave. And if the town refuses to welcome you, shake its dust from your feet as you leave, to show that you have abandoned those people to their fate. So it says that the disciples began their circuit of the villages, preaching the good news and healing the sick. So the disciples began their circuit of the villages, preaching the good news and healing the sick. I'm gonna tell y'all why this is powerful. You know, when we examine, studying how to execute like Jesus, like we don't have to look very long and very far before we realize that Jesus was in the business of people development, right? Leadership development and empowering the people to be bigger, stronger, faster, right? Through connecting, right? Letting go of their old ways and reconnecting with the creator of all things, right? So in addition to empowering large groups of people, Jesus was also, let's think about this, as being in leadership development and people development, because what did he do? He gave his 12 disciples power and authority to cast out all demons and heal all diseases. Jesus duplicated himself. Jesus, in fact, is, in quotations, a sales manager. Jesus had 12 disciples that he's personally spent intentional time developing so they can be an extension of himself and go out and spread the good news of our Creator. The reading says in Luke 9 and 6, so they begin their circuit of the villages, preaching the good news and healing the sick. The disciples were traveling and healing people. When we think of somebody performing miracles, we typically think of Jesus, right? However, the fact of the matter is, Jesus had trained and developed 12 leaders to preach and heal the sick just like he knew how to do. They weren't Jesus, but they executed like Jesus, right? Literally WWJD. Right? What would Jesus do? Right? It's the motto. It's got to be the motto. Because if we're going to be in leadership development, if we're going to be in people development, like clearly there hasn't been a greater person to people develop and lead, to empower and to empower people and to execute leadership development and people development more effectively than Jesus did. Right? Because if we're going to be completely frank about everything, like he developed these 12 disciples, these 12 leaders, right, went out into the world and turned the world upside down, because that system's still creating to this day, right? Still created to this day. Jesus duplicated himself, not through magic. A lot of times we like to think of Jesus as magic, right? He didn't do it through magic, but through being a model and focusing on leadership development. Jesus took his purpose and his mission, he instilled it into 12 leaders, and again, those 12 leaders traveled the world teaching and healing. As mighty and powerful as Jesus is and was as a human, right? He could only be in one place at one time. But with 12 disciples and leaders, whether Jesus was alive or busy, right? His message and his movement continues to spread whether he is active in the preaching and healing or not. When looking at the power of Jesus and his 12 leaders, the system of spreading the good news literally still alive today. As a leader who has dedicated my life and myself, right, to people development, the motto really has to be, what would Jesus do? It really has to be, what would Jesus do? And what would Jesus do? We first must be. We have to be the model first. We have to execute like Jesus first, right? 2, we must go out here and after we execute, right? Jesus spent that time in the wilderness getting himself together, but when he was prepared, right? He went out into the world to empower people, to get people to reconnect with their Creator. So what do? We must be first, but second, we must empower hope in the future. We must go out here and let people know that they have hope, they have a future. That's the message, that's the movement. Then, third, we must develop leaders. So the mission in the movement continues regardless of if we are plugged into it or not. We must be first. We must go out here and actually empower the people to let them know that they have hope in the future. And then we must develop people and develop leaders so that the mission and the movement continues regardless of if we're plugged into it or not. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I hope these are some tangible tools that you can use to go out here and create your heaven on earth. It's kind of scripted.